Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Ragz and Jackz affair. We're changing.
It is an affair, isn't it?
We're changing. We're changing your name now. Now we call No Chance Clive. We're going to call you.
Yeah.
We're going to call you Wendy from now on.
Wendy. Where did the Clive folklore come from? Because I actually thought that just was his name, and then everyone started laughing because I was calling him Clive.
Yeah. I was calling him Clive. I thought his name was Clive. It was actually, I think Toffee and Sensen had something to do with it.
Right. Okay. That figures.
Well, just before a guest comes on, we get a lot of hellos on here. We have Mousecat, we have Budgie Burger, we have Illuminatus, King of the Scrubs, we have Tic Tac, we have Baz, Streaky Bacon, Chaz, Harold Stewart. So we have 13 on so far. We're going to kick off with just some news stories.
Remember, it's a bank holiday, Rags, and people will be out and about and doing bank holiday and things. Yeah. So might be a bit thin on numbers tonight, but thank you for all who do show up and every week. What about you, Arkle?
So I'm just going to drop Matty a message here and see where the hell he is.
It's not like a bootneck to be 5 minutes late, is it?
The bootneck is always late. I think it's the time difference because he sets to go. See when he starts a show at 7 of an evening, and you're sitting watching the clock, and we're all in the chat waiting because I'm modding and bits and pieces. And I says 4 minutes past. Wait, you see 4 minutes past, and they're all putting bets on.
But like international time zones aren't done on hours and minutes, are they?
Well, it must be. Are they not?
No, it's done on an hourly basis, isn't it? You have Eastern, Central, and then avocado time, don't you? Well, as far as I was always aware, anyway, it was done on hours.
So,
Clive is his Mossad name. Okay, that makes even more sense now. Agent Clive of the Mossad.
How's that? Loki, I haven't seen Loki in a while. Good to see him, man. So I've just messaged him there, but not here.
Something they have in Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Yes.
They don't have in England. It's this stuff. Brown lemonade.
You've never tried that?
It's Tizer. It's what I know as Tizer.
Wait, I grew up on that shit. That's what we were
doing. It is shite. You're right, it is shite. But I've decided not to drink ciders tonight.
Why?
So I'm drinking brown lemonade instead.
What's in the brown lemonade though?
Nothing, honestly nothing. Sugar. Diabetes.
Diabetes in the bottle.
Yeah.
Thing for the English is in. I'll see you got to.
Oh, is that what CNC stands for? Is it Arklow, Cantrell and Cochrane?
Yeah, Cantrell and Cochrane.
Yeah.
There used to be a factory at the end of our street. There he is now. And without further ado,
hi lads.
The Bootneck.
Evening, Matthew.
I'm still wet. Still wet.
Ragz seems to think that when you do international time zones, there's also minute differences rather than just on the hour. Is that true?
I don't think there is, but a couple of minutes on every different device is a little bit different. But I don't think officially.
I suppose that makes sense. Yeah,
it's just hours.
Yeah.
So like here, on my computer here, it says 3 minutes past 10. So I'm assuming it's about 5 past whatever.
It's 5 past here.
6.
But I've got 2 minutes past 6.
Yeah, so it's all a couple of minutes. But officially, it's just hours, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you, mate?
I'm all right. Spot on.
Yeah. Excellent.
I've got up about 8 o'clock, went to the gym, just came back, jumped out the shower, and it's still early here, 10 a.m. Obviously not boozing time.
No.
Unfortunately.
Somewhere around the world.
Well, maybe in maybe where you are, the Americans are a bit more civilized when it comes to boozing, aren't they? All the time I've been here, I don't think I've ever seen anyone have a fight. I was like, Christ, every Friday night in my local, it was like the Wild West. But you rarely see Americans punching each other in the pub.
So you know,
do not have the day drinking sort of thing
like
going
us.
on.
They're not like us. I do think it's a good thing, me, though. Like, I think when I first moved out here, I was like, wow, these guys are soft as shite. And then after going out drinking here and not seeing anyone headbutting people or spewing or shit themselves at the bar, I think the Americans' much more mature attitude towards boozing is enviable. Like, for example, the kids as well, when they turn 18 out here, like you'll be in Starbucks or something, getting a cup of tea, and then there's like 10 kids there. They're like, oh, what they're doing? And like, oh, it's his 18th birthday, they'll come out for a coffee. I was like, fuck me, 18th birthday back home. You'd be scraping me out of a wheelie bin at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something if I was 18 back home. Well, you don't realise like the stereotypes they have about the Brits and the Irish. They are entirely deserved. You see the way the Americans are in bars and restaurants and pubs, and especially the young people compared to back home, and they're much more civilized.
There's my second boy, Mini Me we call, his 18th, and I says to him, look son, I know you want to, but just don't do it. Don't go out absolutely freaking hammered.
Yeah.
That's when I was getting WhatsApp messages from his mates, pictures of him. Corner.
Yeah, we are childish, aren't we, with drinking back.
Here you go. Just to back up the stereotype, I had to go and do a delivery yesterday of a washing machine and a dishwasher, right? And I get to this house and I can hear I knock on the door and I can hear commotion and all that. And this woman answers the door and she's like high-eyed like that. They've been up all night boozing. They haven't been to bed. And it's not just her. It's her and her kids on a session in the kitchen. Yeah. Like teenagers.
Yeah.
And what they drink over here now, Matty, is there's these really highly caffeinated malt liquor beverages in like 500ml tins. They're called Dragon Soup and Four Loko and things like that, right? And I was explaining to them, I said, like, I saw some on the side. These are 8.5%, 9%, these tins, right? And I said, back in the day when you saw someone like walking down the street with a special brew or a supertenant, like you knew that they probably had a little problem with drink. Like you don't normally have that as a nice like get home from work and go, oh, it's gonna be nice. Special brews on the patio, right?
Yeah.
And I said all they've done is this is just fruity special brew, and they've rebranded it, and they've even. You can't even get special brew at 9% now. It's all 7.5%. They've knocked it all down.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I think that's for tax reasons more than anything.
The nanny state, shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, special brew. We used to drink it when I was a teenager. But again, it's to get us fucked up as fast as possible. We used to mix White Lightning and special brew, call them super snake bites. It's like
super snake bites.
Super snake bites. Three. You'd have to like mix 4 cans, like 2 and 2, and you'd be totally fucked when you were like 15. Yeah.
Well, drinking special brew, it's like doing an oil change in your mouth. There's nothing nice about it. It's just to get hammered as quick as possible. Yeah. And for as cheaply as possible.
It's funny out here as well, how they're dead strict with it. Like even me. Not so much in the last couple of years, but definitely when I first moved here. So I was like, 34, 35. Still ID. I remember going to a brewery out here and I didn't take my ID out because this is when I first moved here. So I guess I was 34 when I first moved out here. And me and my missus said, let's go out and get plastered. She'd been living in York for like 6 years. So she's got into the British way of doing things. And I was like, let's go out and get plastered. And if I fully go out in York, when I was living there, because you walk everywhere, with the intention of getting plastered, I used to leave my phone and my wallet at home. I used to just take like 50 quid out with me. And it's a good way of like monitoring your spending. No, you're not going to lose anything. So we used to just do a pub crawl, get some fish and chips and walk home. So in that mindset, I just grabbed 100 off the top, put it in my pocket and went out, not thinking about it, thinking I needed anything. And I goes into this brewery in Los Angeles, and as soon as I walked in, the barmaid said to me, oh, can I see your ID? And I was like, ID? I'm fucking 34. I was like, I didn't even bring my driving license. She said, oh, I can't serve you then. So I said, get the manager. And the manager comes out, and he was like 22, like this kid. I said, all right, son. I said, I can get a drink, can't I? He went, nah, not without ID. And I said, how old are you? And he said, 22. And I was like, do I look like I could be 2 years younger than you? He said, you could be. I said, I fucking couldn't, son. I said, I'm offended. You think I look this shitty at 20? You know what I mean? I've got male pattern baldness, my fat ass, and I'm 20. I said, I was fucking handsome when I was 20, you cheeky little twat. They're unbelievably tight with it. But like I said, from living here, I do see the plus side. I think that we've got a sort of very infantile attitude towards it. And I think that culturally it affects every aspect of our society. I think that's why we're shit at sports. I remember listening to a radio interview with a golfer based in York, and he was saying how most of the British and Irish golfers, they're just happy to be on the tour, and they're always on the piss. And he said, and the professionals don't drink a drop when they're on the tour, and they fucking win all the majors. He said, like, you can't just coast along getting pissed. Look at our footballers. Imagine how good George Best or Paul Gascoigne would have been if they lived like Ronaldo and they didn't ever drink and they just drank fucking Gatorade and went to the gym every day. But that's not how we do it. We go play a game and then get absolutely hammered afterwards. Middlesbrough was the same when Gascoigne was at Borough. All the taxi drivers, you'd get in the taxi in Borough and they'd be like, oh, Paul Gascoigne was in here the other day, mate. He was fucking mortal. Like, imagine how good. Like I said, George Best is the one I always think of. Imagine the life and the talent he would have had if he was a teetotaler.
I still think his that quote he said is brilliant. Where he said, he goes, what he spent thousands and thousands on women and booze, and the rest is just wasted.
Yeah, he said womanizing, gambling, and drinking, and the rest are wasted.
Yeah, brilliant.
What's the crack with politics then? What's the big story across the pond this week?
I guess it's Suella Braverman has said some more stuff that's incendiary, I guess, to certain people.
Is it
no, it's not.
Incendiary?
No, it's not. It's sensible. It's sensible and conservative, I guess.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Landslide countries last month they sent back what was I telling you, Jack?
56,
and this month they actually managed to send back 47. But there was 390 arrived yesterday alone. So
fucking, it's like pissing in the wind, isn't it? It's ludicrous. Ludicrous. This is how you know we've lost. Like I said, why I'm so black-pilled about it all. When they do tiny baby steps in the right direction, there's fucking uproar. And that's the political game they play where, you know, they always said, like the left, what we do is we go for the far extreme as you can possibly get, so that when they reel it back a couple of inches and you get that, it's still a win. And that's exactly what they've done. That's what they do all the time. They go as extremist as they possibly can. And then we wind it back a tiny little bit and say something like, okay, we won't take in 3 million immigrants this year. We'll just take in 1 million. And then the Conservatives go, result. It's like, 1 million people in a year? More than 1% of your population. You've got a population of 68 million and we took in over 1 million legal immigrants. And they go, result, lads. It's that's why we're done.
One of the guys from the Lotus Eats was saying yesterday that 600,000 people actually emigrated from Britain, but it was a 1.1 million influx. So you're still left with 500,000.
Yeah, and the other problem is that all them ones leaving, the ones leaving are going to be high quality immigrants. The ones coming in aren't. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet there, but like I left and I've worked since I got here. I've never had a penny in welfare. It's going to be people like that, isn't it? It's going to be people like who look and sound like me, going to places like Australia or Canada or America or Singapore. Or I know a lad who works in Singapore. I know lads all over the place. They're all working. We take in the waifs and strays, badly educated, can barely speak English. Even if they have a work ethic, they're not going to be able to get a job. It's like, so it's a drain on everything. All those people who are leaving, they're probably 99% of them paid taxes. And of the ones coming in, 99% of them fucking won't. So you can figure out how that's going to go.
Yeah, we're left with the stupid and the lazy.
Ridiculous.
What was it? The followers of Alan Snack Bar, their male population, 56 point something % of them don't work. When it comes to the followers of Alan Snackbar. It's
even worse, right? Because they don't let them work. It's like 95% of them are something.
93, I think it was.
Unbelievable. What about that one? You know what I was reading about this week? Baroness Varsi's comment about inbreeding. Have you read about that shit?
Yes.
That would bore you. Right? So she tried to get... Because this is what I keep telling you. You do need a black or an Asian prime minister and a home secretary and the whole cabinet, because they're the only ones who are allowed to talk about the stuff that you need to get done. And I know that's very counterintuitive to many, like, you know, very right-wing nationalist types. But if they're sincere about the beliefs that Britain's a great country and our culture's worth defending, if they're sincere about it, I really think that's what we need to have, because the proof is in the pudding. No white politician, no white British politician has the balls to do anything about it at all. So the hardcore, like, white nationalist types can berate me for this opinion all they want, but the proof is in the pudding. None of them will get elected or will step up that will do it. So if you can get someone like Suella Braverman, who does seem to be quite sincere in at least attempting to tackle the problem, surely that's better than having a pasty ginger bloke who'll just go, we'll just let 3 million in this year. I mean, which is why I'm not an ethnat. I really think that they're the only ones who can tackle the problem. Baroness Varsi discussed this issue that nobody else would touch with a barge pole. And essentially, because they all do first cousin marriage, because obviously want to bring all the family over, she said something like they make up 8% of the population, but they make up like 91% of the congenital birth defects, right? Yeah. Something like that, a statistic like that is so damning that you would have thought it would be instantly made illegal. Like 20 years ago, the government would have said, right, no more marrying your cousins, it's fucking illegal. If you get caught doing it, you're getting back.
That's illegal, Matt.
But no, well, what they're just turning a blind eye to it for then? That they're all doing it.
It's illegal to marry.
I honestly don't think it's illegal in this country to marry your first cousin.
I think it's.
I don't think it is.
I mean, unless
I think it's heavily sort of like, you know, frowned upon. I'm pretty certain I got told that when I was younger. You can marry a cousin.
Yeah, you can. I've just Googled it because I thought there is no legal restriction on the marriage of first cousins in Britain. And the reason there isn't is because they know Joe Dacky wants to fly over Jackie Dacky and get the fucking business done. And Baroness Varsi is the only person that's brought it up. It can't be fixed.
No, we have YouTube royalty on Mr. Simon.
David Curtin. So yeah, there's another good example of a
Maya Tusi's another one.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they do it, make the whole cabinet from foreign origins. Nobody else will do it, and Baroness Varsi was the only one talking about it. That is disgraceful. It's as big a scandal as the grooming gangs. If we know that it causes mutant fucking cycloptic babies and we're just letting them churn them out willy-nilly because nobody wants to say, hang on a sec, should we be letting people fucking marry the cousins? And Baroness Varsi is the only one who's talked about it. That should be a national scandal. Mutant fucked up babies all the time. They all kick off about abortion. What about the fact that we're encouraging a few thousand mutant fucked up babies to be born every year? But nobody cares.
Last year, Matt, I think, what was the official figure for Britain last year? You know, we're not having enough babies. We're not reproducing, so we have to bring all these people in. Yet there was 180,000 abortions in Britain alone last year.
I know. Although, just to give you a better statistic, a lot of those babies being born to the cousins have got 2 fucking heads. So I think they count as 2 babies. Like Siamese twins. It's shocking. It's shocking. And did you see the video I made about Cleopatra? That's another good example.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was brilliant. That
because they'll do it. That based Egyptian historian tore them up for arsehole paper. Whereas when they make Anne Boleyn as black as the ace of spades, nobody says fuck off. Because in England you can't do it.
No.
Queen
that was a good
video.
That was a good video. And I don't know what you said, like, you may be asking why I'm listening to Sounds of Africa at the weekend.
Yeah, that's how I like to it.
But I did the heavy lifting for you.
I love Sounds of Africa and I love BBC Pigeon. Have you read some of BBC Pigeon? It's fucking brilliant.
another thing we had this week, Matt, and I have LBC on now and again just to dip my toe in the enemy's water, but I couldn't this week. It was the whole Diane Abbott thing.
Get her name right, for fuck's sake. Diane Abacus.
Diane Abacus, yeah.
The Abbopotamus.
I don't know. Does that sort of news even make it? I mean, nah.
That is an annoying thing about the States. You know what fascinates me about this country? I fully understand why America is the way it is, and it's easy for Brits and Europeans to slag them off and call them ignorant. This is both a rebuke and a defense of the Americans. It's easy for us to know about the rest of the world because we've gotten out. We're in this tiny little part of the world, tiny little island, and even the French or the Spanish or the Germans. You know, if you want a bit of different weather or nice beaches, or you've got to travel. So Europeans travel all the time. I mean, even me, growing up in Borough, you know, my dad took me to Spain when I was 8. You know, we went to the Isle of Wight when I was 11. Like, you learn about other places. If you're in America, you don't need to go anywhere because it's a continent, basically. You've got the best beaches, the best woods, the mountains, the hills, the plains, the deserts. You've got everything you want. So they're not very well traveled. And the problem with it is they are massively insular to the point where people that really should know what they're talking about, people that get paid to professionally speak on foreign issues, haven't got a Scooby-Doo. Like, it genuinely is fascinating. You put on the news out here, and you know when you can tell when someone's waffling? When you ask someone a question, like when you're in school and you didn't do your homework, and the teacher says, "Oh, what do you think of the last chapter then, Matthew?" And you go, well, yeah, it was good, but it sort of wasn't good. You know, like, you start waffling. They get people on CNN and they'll be like, "Okay, we've got our Houses of Parliament.
Parliament.
They're going to tell us what's going on across the pond," and it cuts to some fucking twat. So then, for the House of Lords, probably the wrong building, right? The House of Lords is like, "Yeah, here in England, they have like a president who does this thing with like the second house guard," and it's like, what the fuck is this bloke talking about? Like, they actually have people on in a professional capacity who've got no idea what they're talking about.
There's
so small issues like that they don't even care about.
Rev has one on there. Remember the Asian guy that called people from Africa lazy? There was a guy last week from China. He was a Chinese minister, and he called the followers on snack bar street shitters.
Street spoilers.
Do you remember the dead famous one a couple of years ago where the Chinese got a bollocking for putting, when you're in a flight magazine like Virgin, when you fly from like LA to London, and it says like, "Oh, London, one of the greatest cities." The Chinese airline said, "London is most beautiful city, but don't go near the blacks."
Yeah.
Like, and apparently they all went mental about it, but it was like, because they're not chained by political correctness, and obviously all they were saying was the black areas are more impoverished and there's a lot of foreign men there who aren't like used to British cultural norms, so that they're a bit more alarming. They might catcall you, you might get like, there's a lot higher crime. It's a reasonable thing to say, but you can't even say what's true nowadays because you have.
So they probably should have paid someone a little bit more to interpret that a little bit better in the literature. But the point still stands, I guess.
Do you remember the one, guys? Do you remember the one? It was a Japanese washing powder advertisement.
I do remember that.
A wee Japanese girl, this big black dude, she pushes him at the wash machine, puts the washing powder on, switches it on, he comes out, he's Asian.
There's loads of class ones, isn't there? Because they're not hamstringed by political correctness, and it makes you laugh. My missus sent me a meme like yesterday, where it's, have you seen one of the like Japanese aid worker, and he's in like Nigeria or something, trying to feed them all, and there's about 20 black kids around him, and they're all doing like slitty eyes around him, going, like pulling the face. They don't give a fuck. And then another, do you remember the video of the little old lady in Japan or China sat at a bus station, and like a black bloke, he's got an Iron Man mask on, like a mask, and he jumps out on her and goes, "Ah," and she doesn't react at all. And then he goes, takes the mask off, and she goes, "Ah." But it's like I said, that whole, so what we were talking about, like in a rambling way for the last 15 minutes there, is what I'm saying. Like, the Egyptian professor and the Egyptian woman and the black man all talking sense on the issue of Cleopatra, when we've had black William Wallace and black Anne Boleyn and black Charles Darwin and black Oliver Twist. It just goes to show you need the ethnic minorities, the patriotic, born and raised in England, because they are the ones that came over when we were bairns. They're going to be sound then. When there was a small number and they actually integrated. I do firmly disagree with the ethnats on that. I think if you get someone who came over in like the 70s and the 80s and they got educated over here, someone like Suella Braverman, I do believe that she's sincere. I don't think she wants to see British culture fucking evaporate. And I do think she wants to fix the problem. And I think we're going to have to get them to do the heavy lifting, because conservative governments, and everyone else isn't even worth mentioning, have proved that Whitey will not fix the problem because they're all cowards.
But there, Matt, there's the National Housing Party UK, and their leader is a mixed race guy from, I think it's Manchester. And he would sort of refer to himself as an ethno-nat. He doesn't want mass immigration. I was watching a protest in Ireland. There's a young mother of, I think she had 3 kids, and she wanted to get into activism and talking about this and talking about that. Her mother was Irish. Her father was black naval guy from America. She was born in Mexico, and her and her mother returned here years ago. And she's actually given this interview, and she's just sitting going, "I'm an ethno-nat, Ireland for the Irish,"
Yeah. And the sincere.
Your mind's going, but you're not white. But it's like David Curtin,
and this is what I'm saying, because people like me have always said this. Conservatism as a movement is a broad church. They all talk about the umbrella, the intersectional umbrella, which is demonstrably ludicrous. Because how in the name of all that's holy do you have an intersectional umbrella and standing underneath it, embracing each other? You've got the most devout mullah ever. What's he going to do? Hold hands with a trans activist? Is he? Do they love blokes like that? Do you think they're going to have an Ayatollah holding out with fucking Boy George and Elton John? Do they like those people, or do they dislike them? Do militant women's rights, far left feminists like TERFs, do they like men? Are you going to get them to hang out? It's like all of these groups under this intersectionality umbrella hate each other, whereas conservatism, it's all about what you think. And it's if you were born and raised in England and your parents are from India and you absolutely love it and you're aware of how much better it is than where your parents come from, and you grow up hearing your stories from your parents saying, "Oh, do you know how lucky you are to come to Middlesbrough?" Like I said, my mate from India, the only fucker that thinks you're lucky being raised in Middlesbrough is someone who's from Karachi. Right? And they're saying to him, "Do you know how lucky you are to be in Middlesbrough?" When he grows up, he loves Middlesbrough and he loves the football team, and he talks like me and he says, "I don't want thousands of these twats from Karachi just rocking up and turning the place into where we've just left." The educated, sensible ones must know that it is upside down and back to front to say, right, we've just left a total shithole. We've come to England. I know what we need to do. Get rid of all the stuff that makes it nice and build a load of shit that makes it look like the place we just left. On the face of it, it's completely absurd. So I do believe that you get sincere minorities in Ireland, in England, in Scotland and Wales will be going, "Are you people fucking tapped? Like, you seriously need a CAT scan if you think it's a good idea to bring over millions of fighting age men from some of the worst places on earth." They know which side the bread's buttered. And that's why I'm down with it. I don't think it needs to be about where you're from originally. I think it needs to be about your ideology. And I firmly believe that. You get very, very conservative, especially here in America as well. You get Asian Americans who all vote Republican in droves. You've got loads of Asian Trump voters because they're like, "Hang on, I'm getting stitched up by these lefty twats who are, look what they've done with the Asian community when it comes to university places in the United States." Because they always have a mother and a father and they have an old school conservative upbringing for the kids. They do fantastically well in school. They have the best grades. They work the hardest. They're the most conscientious. And now they can't get a university place because the Biden admin's like, "No, we need a few thousand more black lads. Get him in there." And then there's some black lad with the fucking colouring book because he's got the IQ of a fucking sausage roll. And he's taking the university place of some Asian kid who's got like the best grades going. So the Asian community in America is very right-wing.
Well, that's the difference between equality and equity, isn't it?
Of course.
Equity being a guaranteed outcome, and equality being you all get to participate, but only the cream rises to the top.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be a meritocracy, hasn't it?
Yeah, especially things like fucking governance.
In America. What you're saying is true in America, but it's actually creeping into England now. Oxford,
I bet it is.
Cambridge,
I bet it is.
They didn't have the who was talking about it? Oh, what do you call a guy that coughs a lot? Marbles.
Coughs a lot.
He's got marbles in his throat. There's no elderly gentleman with a mustache.
Oh, history debunked. Simon Webb.
Simon, yeah.
And he was saying they had actually turned away Asian applicants for universities to get more blacks in.
So the exact same thing's happening in England. Well, as we know, we're living in a globalist world. The globalist psychopaths are running the world, so you would expect them to do exactly the same thing.
Do you ever notice, Matt, that everything in America is mirrored in England? The southern border in America. Oh, we can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. And, it's fine. Nobody's coming across. I think, what did your woman say? Since Biden took power, there's 6 million people have crossed the border. And then you look at Dover, smaller scale, yes, understandable because we're a smaller country. You can fit England and Northern Ireland into.
We also don't have land borders.
Yeah. And then all the education stuff in the schools, and the parents are erupting for their children being taught about some of the things I was watching there. It would make your blood boil. Teaching 4-year-olds about certain penetration and in through the back door. And
oh my God! See, I was talking about that last night in the pub with a load of liberal Americans because I always try and convert them. I always do it, and I'm not lying. I'm just telling them 60% of the story. I'm not making anything up, and I always tell them like I'm socially liberal. I would have voted for Obama. If you'd have asked me 7 or 8 years ago, whatever it was, the last time he got elected, I was like, I'm a liberal person. I was like, and these arguments were settled across the pond years ago. We don't care about like gay marriage and stuff. We never did. But it was like their own arguments debunk themselves. Because think about that. This is the exact point I made last night. I was saying to them, when did you learn about sex education? Because they were about 30. I was like, probably got told about that when you were about 12 or 13 or 14 or whatever, didn't you? And they were like, yeah, I think like whatever grade. And I said, yeah, like, and did we want to gas all the homos? Because that's the argument they make. They go, oh, if you don't tell 6-year-olds about sucking cocks, the next thing you know, they're all going to grow up to be fucking Jeffrey Dahmer or something, right? And I'm like, hang on. We learned sex education at a normal age when I was a lad. We were about 13. And you start learning about it and you watch a video of someone shagging and you're all chuckling away. And then you watch someone having a baby and someone faints. And that's when you learn about it. And I was like, and we all, in 1998, 99% of people in my school were like pro-gay marriage. We were like, because we all got taught, you don't pick your sexuality. There's no choice in the matter. You didn't choose to like girls. So he can't choose to not like boys. So nobody cared. But now they're going, oh no, if you don't let us tell fucking toddlers about sucking each other's balls, everyone's going to grow up to be a homophobic serial killer. I was like, well, we didn't. So why do we have to teach kids this stuff?
I got mine from a very sort of, my mother was a midwife and a staff nurse, and nothing was taboo. If you had a problem or you thought there was something wrong and you asked her, she'd have told you. So we didn't get sex education at secondary school. I know maybe had it in England and stuff back then, but we didn't.
Oh, really?
It came from, I think the girls' school did, because they were taught about condoms and stuff, just in case.
And periods, I guess, as well with girls, isn't it?
Yeah, even when
handbags and shoes.
when we were, even 13 or 14 years old, you always heard the story of the girl in our boys' school was here. Korean boys, Korean girls were absolutely bang next door to it. So when we were going to the canteen, their gym was here, and their dressing rooms were under the gym, and it had them big tilty windows, and we were sort of looking for boob and stuff.
On about the girls' school, you just reminded me of a corny joke there. Do you remember that one? Like another primary school joke. It says the teacher's asking everyone what they want to be when they grow up, and she says to Johnny, "Hey, Johnny, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And he says, "I'm not going to work. Working's for losers. I'm just going to be rich. I'm going to go to some strip club, pick up some bitch, take her back to my big posh apartment and shag her 5 times a day." And she goes, "Johnny, go and see the headmaster." So he leaves. And the teacher says, "Sorry about that." She says, "Susie, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And Susie goes, "I want to be Johnny's bitch."
No, I think for the first time my ma thought I was sexually active, I had my first girlfriend, that sort of thing, 14, 15 or something. The first thing that was set down in front of me was what? Big box of condoms. If you're going to do it, cover it. Simple.
Yeah.
If you bring her back here pregnant, I will shoot you in the face.
Well, Borough's full of prozzies, isn't it? So my dad said, "Put fucking 2 on. Put 2 on and then gaffer tape it to your ball sack." Like, gotta be careful down there.
What was that one they brought out years ago for the ladies? The Femidol.
Oh, yeah. I remember learning about it in secondary school. But
it's like some sort of like cuttlefish looking thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine in the heat of the heat of the motor, like already having to stop, put a cap on is already like, hold on a minute, love, let me just. But like if they pull out this fucking, you can't get it out and make sure it's all. Yeah, it must have been. I don't know how many sex lives are actually killed rather than enhanced.
I bet they don't even sell them anymore, do they? In all my years, I've never heard of a woman pulling one out.
To be fair, 42, I wasn't in school all that often. They might have it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah. You were nicking off a bit there.
I was off making money, Matt. Anyway, I could.
Yeah. So, on your side of the pond then, Matty, what do you think about RFK Jr.'s chances?
You know what? I seem to agree with lots of his policies, but when I see him talk, he doesn't impress me. He seems very like he can't talk properly, can he? He's like,
what's going on with his voice?
Yeah, I can't slag off Biden for being frail and fragile and then get behind Kennedy. You know what I mean? It just strikes me as being
it's something to do. I think it's something to do. Is it a thyroid problem? But the thing is, right? The voice is an issue, especially when you're on a campaign trail and stuff like that, isn't it? But at least what he says is intelligible, though.
But remember the Hells Angel guy? He was the head of the Hells Angels, and then they stuck him on TV, and he was talking to the guys that made Sons of Anarchy, and he was telling them all about bike gangs and how things worked in bike gangs. But he used to put this thing here at the neck, and they talk like that.
Oh yeah. That's from throat cancer, isn't it?
From throat cancer.
Yeah. The guy off South Park it always makes me think of. Remember his cousin Ned? It's coming right for us.
It's coming right for us. Yeah. And there was the Alan Partridge episode as well. Where the guy.
Oh yeah.
Mrs. Meehan, she was on the phone to me yesterday looking for Northern Ireland recipes, things that we would eat here, because she wanted to. I think she's feeding 200 people. Does a lot in her community and stuff, so she wanted to change it up a bit. So I give her the recipes for what we called granny soup, and then when my mum made it, we still called it granny soup, and then when I made it for my kids, we still called it granny soup. So
what's in it? What's in granny soup?
Granny soup is barley and lentils, brisket, boiled, and the bone. Get rid of the bones, leave the meat in, and then just a whole pile of vegetables. And then you get a pretty good big, Golden Wonder potato, boiled, peeled.
Sounds good.
Big fluffy thing. Set it in the bowl, pour the soup over the top of it, and your kids. That's the only time that my kids shut up at the table.
You know what? I'll tell you a recipe that I used to always get, like every Monday. My nanny used to make it, and no one's heard of it. It's panagally. Do you get panagally in Northern Ireland?
What is it?
Panagally was just a big pot, and you just cut up loads of tatties, cut up a couple of cans of corned beef, throw in a load of beef stock and some onions, and then boil it for about 4 hours. My nanny used to make it all the time, panacally.
We call that corned beef hash.
Is it?
Well, we would boil it and put it in a big casserole dish. Mixed it all together with chives, and then put cheddar cheese all over the top of it, and then set it in the oven until the cheese goes golden brown.
Corned beef hash is like, I always think that's American, what you get with your breakfast out here. But it's not like that. Panacli is more like a stew, do you know what I mean? Or a soup. You just eat it with a loaf of bread. But,
there's some funny like local terms for dishes. Have you ever had rumbly thumps?
I've never heard of that.
It
sounds like a euphemism for shagging, doesn't it? Rumbly thumps. Fancy some rumbly thumps, love.
It's like potato, leek, and bacon. I think in like sort of
Well, there's Art goes in Ireland. He says it sounds like strump, but you know the recipes have gone all over the place. They just changed the names. Corned beef hash. It's freaking lovely. Now Toffee knows what it is, but then again, there's a lot of Irish immigrants went across to Liverpool.
Who's got a bird or a cat? That's doing my head in.
Cat. Fuck off.
I think you might have to be making cat soup, Ragz.
1 second.
It's a noisy bastard. I've never heard of cat.
Oh, honestly, it don't stop, mate. It don't stop. So, look. I went on to Mark Dice's store. I had to get the t-shirt, because not only I think they're good, it could be good conversation starters. Even if someone's got like something shitty to say about it, you know, and you've got the facts and the knowledge and the data, you know. So.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Yeah, I love winding people up, mate. That's anything like that's good, isn't it? Because you can start people fucking whinging.
Do you think there's any sort of conspiratorial, if there's anything conspiratorial with what's happening with like Tucker Carlson and Stephen Crowder and like in the conservative sphere, all these sort of takedowns of people at the moment?
Well, would you call it a conspiracy when we know it happens now? Basically, it's what we know happens. It's if you don't toe the party line, the woke globalist party line, they will take you out eventually. They'll use any methods they can to fuck you. So I don't think it's a conspiracy, is it? It's basically he was going against the grain on things like Ukraine, which are completely in lockstep for the psychopaths that run the world. And Tucker was always moaning about it, saying, what we're doing this for, what we're sending them all that money for, are we certain we are the good guys? Are we certain we're doing the right thing? And they're not having it. The Republican Party is the exact same. It's like the Conservatives in England. I mean, the difference is, at least in America, you do actually have a Conservative option. But, 60% of the party are exactly the same, just looking out for themselves, self-serving scum. They're better than the Conservatives in England, but they're still the same. And Tucker Carlson was saying things that pissed off Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, and they're the big boys over here, and half of the party. So it's not even a conspiracy, is it? It's what we know happens. If you go against the globalist psychopaths, they take you down any way they can. Not a conspiracy. They're happy to tell you.
Do you not think that it like with like internet-based subscriptions and stuff like that now that he'll probably do better anyway?
Yeah, he will. There's no way that they'll be able to stop him. And I think this is what I've talked about before. This is where the slow to catch on, these fucking old boomers, because the world's changed. The best example I gave of that was when Biden was tackled by some hard hat wearing blue collar steelworker in Scranton or wherever the fuck he was. And he basically does what all these old boomer politicians do, is they think they can lie like they used to. They think we control the media, we've got the printed media, we've got the newspaper, the TV stations, we can do whatever we like. And they can't anymore. And Joe Biden went to that famous rally across the country and said, you're damn right, we're coming for your guns. And this is the guy who's going to take them. So I think he was rallying for Beto O'Rourke in Texas. And Beto O'Rourke gets on the stage and he's like, yeah. And they're all cheering him, rapturous applause because it's in a Democrat rally. And then he flies 2,000 miles, goes to somewhere in Pennsylvania, and then he gets up on the stage with the fucking brazen balls of a born liar and goes, oh, I'm not taking your guns, because obviously they care about them in Scranton, Pennsylvania. people are like, oh yeah, you said you were going to ban guns. And he goes, no, that's a damn lie. You know how he does? He pretends to be outraged to try and give gravitas to his lies. He's like, no, that's nonsense. I never said that. And this bloke goes, oh yeah. And he like gets his phone out and he goes, wasn't this you yesterday? And there he is going, yeah, you're damn right. I'm going to take your guns. And he's the man who's going to do it. And that bad just goes, like walks off. This is what they don't understand. If you went and lied your ass off in 1970, and then fly 1,000 miles away and lie your ass off, those people never communicate. They don't know what you've said. So you can do what they've always done. You can say the exact opposite to what you said 4 hours earlier if you're talking to a different crowd. And these twats need to get with the program and realise that the world's changed. Tucker Carlson's new show will be massive. And I guarantee it'll get more ratings than anything on the terrestrial television. Guarantee it.
What about Matt, the pay-per-view Tucker Carlson show? Apparently, it's basically the memberships in the toilet.
Yeah.
The ratings dropped for Fox alone, and then he has an own segment, but it's like a pay-per-view. As you know, the ones he does, it's like a wooden cabin thing, and he's done.
Oh yeah.
He's done Trump and all that. All these different ones. I can't remember that girl's name. She's like a conservative black lady.
Candace Owens
And stuff. They interviewed her there, and they were getting big numbers. Apparently, that one he put out on Twitter had more views than any show on mainstream media.
Yeah. No, the people have had enough, haven't they? They were convinced they could just control the narrative, and they can't. The world's changed. They can put the fingers on the scales that they do on YouTube. Shocking what they do on YouTube. Told you, that Despot of Antrim, I really like him. You can just see by looking at his content that if they weren't putting the fingers on the scales, he'd have millions of subscribers. Me, I cannot get any traction. I've been doing it for 3.5 years now. It's an uphill battle the entire time. The most annoying thing about mine is the community tab, because I used to have a really good community tab. You post on there and you get 1,000 or 2,000 responses, and you had a real bit of banter going on there. Now nobody sees them. I've got more subscribers than I've ever had, and you put a post on your community tab and no one sees it. You get 3 upvotes on something. They're just hiding and silencing everybody.
I mean, what I will say to just play the contrarian on that, Matty, is a lot of people just watch through their smart TVs now, don't they? So a lot of people don't even get to see. I only see the community tab when I'm scrolling on my phone.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like that's going to explain the numbers going from, because it's not like you can't just look at the dates on them and compare them. Before I got my first strike off them, I was getting thousands of interactions, and then I got a strike, and then I get back on, and I'm getting 10. There's not like that's just because people are watching it on the telly. It's they're doing it on purpose. Like I said, you watch content by people like him, Despot, and they should be in the millions. They are clearly hamstringing everybody, and it's not a conspiracy theory at this point. Ever since the Tucker buyout, we know the Twitter buyout, we know what they do. We know what Silicon Valley do. They call it shadow banning, but at this point, it's outright banning and silencing people.
Well, and also the intelligence agencies saying, no, don't allow that, push that, stop that.
Exactly.
That's Matt, quite frightening.
Matt, before the coup came along, and before your indiscretions with Suzar,
it's nil now. Remember, it's nil now.
Yeah.
You mentioned it before. Your tweets were getting, ratioed. You likes this and likes that. And they were big. Yeah. And I reshare your tweets, but I've noticed they're not getting the same traction.
They do it on purpose. But like I said, who cares, right? They think they can put the genie back in the bottle, and they can't.
I've worked out how to stream from here, and it's linked now to Rumble, so this should be going out live on Rumble. I forgot to say that at the start of the stream.
Oh, that's good.
What's the other one, Jack? Odyssey,
BitChute.
And BitChute. These should go out on both of them.
Trouble is, you don't want to be spread too thin, do you? I think Rumble, it seems to be the one that's gained the most sort of the most amount of followers for people go there. I think it's quite a stable platform now.
Well, look at Odin's Men. Odin's Men
has good search engines. You get notifications.
Odin's Men took 300,000 followers from YouTube straight across the room.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
in a couple of weeks, and he wasn't saying anything that I thought was controversial. No. He was asking questions, you know.
But you know what got him on? They got him on hateful content because he focused on that the golden cow of Dylan Mulvaney, didn't he? The golden calf of Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah. But no, because he was all three of his channels, even that channel he does, what was it called? Where he just talked about military stuff. He's Odin's Men. He has
Jameson's.
Ivan's Axe Blood.
Ivor Blood Axe.
Ivor Blood Axe, and he has, what was it?
Jameson's Travels.
Jameson's Travels. Jameson's Travels talked about everything military and what it's like to be in the military and stuff. Nothing political. That got demonetized too.
Shocking. You just have to hope it's going to be the death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, it's happened to societies, so it's going to happen to businesses and platforms as well, isn't it? I think eventually YouTube will slowly wither away, but not this year. You know, it's going to take a long time. They have to keep alienating people, and it's a bit of a shame because there's a lot of voices out there that would make good. Because ultimately, the reason they do it totally makes sense. It's logical, isn't it? Because they know that their arguments don't make any sense. They just don't. It's not my opinion. It's like their own arguments, as I said about the sex education one. Their own arguments don't make sense because they're not arguing from a position of logic. They're arguing from a position of their ideological standpoint. So, like I said, it's like when Sherlock Holmes says, you make sure you just look at the evidence and follow it where it leads. You don't make your mind up about who you think did it and then desperately seek out any evidence that will point you towards them. You have an open mind and you follow the evidence, and they don't do that because they're full-blown ideologues. So they'll say things like, if we don't tell 6-year-olds about sucking each other's balls, they'll all end up to be homophobic serial killers. And when you say, yeah, but we didn't learn about that and we didn't do that, they go, next question, or silence, bigot, because they can't give you any logical responses. So that's what's going on there. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe they believe the things they say. They don't believe it. There is no way that they genuinely believe that all the people they call racist are racist. They know there's hardly any racists anymore. It's like 2023, for fuck's sake. We've seen
the ultimate smear, the anti-Semitic smear.
All the time, yeah. They don't believe it. They don't believe you say one thing that disagrees with them. They go, yeah, therefore you want to gas the Jews. Nobody thinks that. But so they're fundamentally dishonest. They don't believe the lies they tell. But they'll keep doing it because it works, because silencing you works. And obviously that's what I'm saying, why it's logical and it's understandable why they do it. Because if you get someone who's intelligent and well-spoken, they'll convince people. So they don't want anybody to be convinced. So if you get someone who's really, like I said, Sargon's a great example because he's well-spoken. He doesn't swear. He hasn't got a scruffy accent like me. He's good at winning the argument. And they say things that are irrational, and he goes, that's not logical because of A, B, and C. And if people that are on the fence or centre-left or even inquisitive hear him talk, they might go, oh, yeah, I never thought about it that way. So they don't want him to talk. It's very logical why they're doing it. It's the only logical thing they do. But it's logical why they want to silence you because they don't want to have the argument. That's why they call you a racist when they know you're not a racist. They don't want to have the argument, and they don't want people that are good at winning arguments to talk. So I understand it. It just pisses me off.
Here's a question for you, gentlemen. There's Paul Joseph Watson. There's Maya Tusi and stuff. And they put out stuff that we've been talking about for months. Yet we get strikes and they don't. Why is that? Is it the way they word it?
No, it's not. It's basically right. They have to allow a couple to get the chains off so they can still point at people and say, look, he's there. Therefore, we don't ban anyone. What they do is they ban and silence 99 out of every 100 and they let 1 or 2 slip through. Probably who they determine will be the least, the more likely to follow the party line.
But you can't really call Maya Tusi a racist, can you?
No, exactly. But well, he's obviously got that as well. He's not white, so he's got extra brownie points. And then people like Paul Joseph.
We've seen the last couple of years they're quite openly call black people the white supremacists now. That's where we are.
No irony at all. Yeah,
no,
it's mad, isn't it? Mad.
Plus the other problem there is white supremacy.
Being too big to fail is another thing as well, and that's what all of the. I mean, even people like Paul Joseph Watson will tell you. You know that's what's gone on. They got started back when YouTube was still... Because basically, if you started doing this 10, 15 years ago, before woke became a thing, because it wasn't a thing, was it, in 2010? The left were a lot more sane in 2010 than they are in 2023. The woke thing only went off the chain after, like, Brexit and Trump. We all remember what 2013 was like. It wasn't like now, where they are fucking crazy. So if you started doing it years ago... then they have to leave you alone because you've already built your name. But what they have done is made it so it's almost impossible in the last 4 or 5 years for new content creators to actually make a name for themselves. Once you're too big to fail, you're too big to fail. They can't just start slamming people like Paul Joseph Watson down because then everybody knows it's too obvious. But they have made it so, like I said, talented lads like Despot can't get a foot in the door. And people like me, and they're just hoping that you'll quit because you're not making any money out of doing it. But fortunately for me, I'm a stubborn bootneck bastard, and I don't care about that. It's not about the money. It's about getting your voice out there, and I'll keep making videos till Niall sends the boys around to fucking gang rape me.
It was actually Odin's Man. He made a video there on our platform, and he was saying YouTube, after they cancelled him and demonetized him, they still owed him something like $24,000 in revenue.
Good luck getting that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's probably in the small print too, isn't it? If you get deplatformed, then there's money pending. Goodbye.
We keep it all. Yeah, they need the money.
Semiagog. Yeah, anybody watch Semiagog?
Yeah, Semiagog. Yeah.
Now advertises his streams on YouTube for other platforms. He doesn't do the streams on YouTube. And the money that man was, you just sat and watched. There's 3,500 people in the chat, $100, $50, $10, $60. Dun. You know, who did they offer to pay their debts off? There's some county had so much in debt. He offered to pay it, you know. Yeah. He's raking in a clean fortune through YouTube. You know?
You want about Salty Cracker, not Semiagog.
The Semiagog, Salty Cracker, sorry, you're right.
I like Salty Cracker.
He's gone now. He's not on YouTube at all. I haven't seen a video of his on YouTube for well over a month, I'd say. One of these little short ones.
Well, the wee short ones that came up were advertising to go over to Rumble, the BitChute and stuff.
See what I mean, though? That's a shame, that, because he makes good, engaging, funny videos and he wins arguments. It's like, it's all well and good having your principles, but you need to get them voices out there any way you can. Like, I think you should have stayed with it, even if it's demonetized or what. Like, because you need those people to be there. And like I said, you can do death by 1,000 cuts. Like Russell Brand, I think, has got the right idea. Like, he's constantly banging on about Rumble. We need to go over there. I do Rumble only exclusives and all this, but he's still always on YouTube because you need to keep trying to get to as many people as you can, don't you? I don't think it's productive to just completely pull off the platform altogether.
No, I would agree with you, but there is boys there they even set up their own websites. That guy that does the news reports and all, and he kept on getting, his videos pulled down for, this pulled down, that pulled down, this. So what he does is, if it's mainstream news and it's this, that, and the other, and it's sort of, it's comfortable in a wee comfortable blanket, he'll do it on YouTube, but he'll direct you to the uncut, uncensored version on his own website. What's he call that fella?
Yeah.
So it does have its uses, but basically it's just, if you're not left wing, they don't like you. My last strike was rescinded. They had me down for medical information, even though that the stuff that I played on the stream was from YouTube videos. Andrew Bridgen and the likes, that sort of stuff.
Well, I told you I'm actually skating right as close to the ball as you can get me. Like Paz, when he got to 2, he just deleted his channel and started from scratch. I'm still here because I'm like, fuck yous, I'm not doing it. But I'm on 2 now. So I've tried to stop swearing. And if it's in any way conscientious, I put it on private as soon as I've done it, any of my streams. Well, basically, once you get to that point, you're seriously in the shit. And both of mine were for videos that were months old. And both of them were for harassment and cyberbullying. And when I'm talking about famous, powerful, public figures, bullying. Yes. Like I made a video taking the piss out of Owen Jones. They're doing me for bullying. I was like, I didn't knock on his fucking door and give him a wedgie. I just made a video saying Owen Jones is a thick twat and his politics makes no sense. And then who was the other one? Someone else famous, like a politician. I make a video taking the piss out of Diane Abbott and they say, oh, this is harassment and cyberbullying. It's like I've took her fucking dinner money off me. I'd put my back out taking her fucking dinner money off me, the fat cunt. It's ridiculous.
See what Censorship puts there? I mean, I think that was always obviously going to be the case. They're not going to allow you to promote cross-party, cross-platforming.
Oh, really? That's a breach of rules. Fuck me.
Yeah, well, I pay my membership and I can actually download my videos to my computer. And then I can upload them wherever I want because it's my content.
How fascist are they, though? They are proper fascist cunts, aren't they? Like, you can't do that. That's like going into the wacky warehouse and if you get a glass of water, oh, you fucking can't drink that in here, you cunt. It's like, we didn't brew it, get out. It's ludicrous. Yeah. Shocking.
Since him is on a strike, I think he's out of the gulag on, I think he said Tuesday. So,
what are your plans for next week's streaming, Matty? Are you doing some evening streams?
Well, I've started only doing them once a week just because I'm trying to keep my head above water and actually get some subs. Because, like I said, I'm down to gaining about fucking 10 a month at this point. I've been aiming for 25k for about 6 months because they just don't show my stuff to people. So it's like for every 2 I gain, I lose 2.
10. Fucking look, I forget 1 a month.
Yeah, it's shocking. But so I'm not doing as many streams. But again, I like doing streams, but I've stopped doing them because I've realised that with streams, I think they only really get seen by your existing subscribers. They never put them in the They never put them in the sidebar, and I don't think new people that are just browsing YouTube, I don't think they see them. So I think you're better off making content than just doing streams all the time. So I've started just doing it on a Monday to keep people ticking over. So yeah, basically, I'm trying to just do 1 day a week and then make sure I do upload some content like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, I did quite a few last week. That's what I'm trying to do.
I had your one lined up here. Was the Egyptian one? No, I know. The Cleopatra one. Was either blonde or.
I noticed you did one on your other channel as well the other week because it came up in the feed. The old antagonistic biscuit.
Yeah. That's just. I just want to get that to 1,000, so I've got a streaming outlet if the inevitable happens. You know what I mean? If the inevitable happens soon, then I'll just go onto there. And I'm hoping even though I'm only in 3 figures on there, I'm hoping I can basically if Angry Bootneck doesn't exist anymore at all, I'm sure that'll quickly grow. But obviously I don't.
If you drop it in the private chat, I'll share it in the stream.
Oh yeah, let me have a look. I'll just quickly look it up. But yeah, that's the plan. That's just a scare. That's just a spare basically. Yeah, it's a shame, innit? Because, like I said, I got into YouTube years ago. I absolutely loved it. Like YouTube's class when it was 10 years ago. It was fantastic. Yeah. It basically got me off television. I just stopped watching TV constantly. All I ever watched was YouTube. It was fucking brilliant. 10, 15 years ago, everyone was swearing. There was loads of politically correct humor. There was loads of good comedy on there. It's all gone now. All the ones I like, even the ones that are still on there, like I said, I really like It's a Gundam, and he doesn't swear anymore. He's got to watch what he says. He censors. You don't realise how much it affects your content until you start censoring, because I'm doing it now. it's like it's nowhere near as funny. It's nowhere near as engaging because you're constantly thinking, "Oh, can I put that in?" And there's been times when I'm editing it and I've said something and I've thought, "Oh, that's funny." Like I've grinned while I'm editing it, thinking, "Oh yeah, that'll be funny," and then I go, "Oh no, I can't put it in." There's times I've had to delete stuff that would have been good and popular because they'll delete you. So it's hamstringing the channel, the platform massively. And like I said, I do believe long term it'll kill it.
Goes against your principles as well to self-censor, right?
Yeah, I know, and they want to do that because they're fucking despicable. They do it on purpose. They want you to like.
Anybody wants the link? The link is in the chat now. That's Matt's other channel.
They want you to lie, and they want you to toe the line, and you've just got to work around it as best you can, don't you? There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
And then we all have to speak in code when we're talking about certain things.
Yeah, like the regulars at Alan's Snack Bar, exactly.
Yeah. It has made for some good slang though, some good new sort of
I've invented
into the lexicon.
I've invented a few words that I see floating around on platforms now, and I think I made that up. It's a good one.
Yeah, no, because I seen it in somebody else's chat there the other night. I think it was, who was it? I think it was Simon Sideways. Simon Sideways seems to have 4 channels, and he streams from all 4 channels at the same time. I was sort of clicking through them, sort of going, go to the one with the most people in it, because sometimes there's 301, and then there's 5 or 15 or 16 or 17 in the others, and sort of somebody came up with something about Alan's Snack Bar, and I went,
I'll tell you what I've noticed as well, because obviously there's thousands of bootnecks out there. Loads of my cartoons turn up on Twitter. I see tons of them. People with my drawings as their profile pictures, or as I mean, again, because I don't care. Like, there's a bloke who texted me a few months back who's got his own business in Exmouth doing like glazing or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, can I have your bootneck?" doing his thumbs up to my thin flyer, and I was like, "Yeah," I sent him. So I see hundreds, not thousands. I see hundreds of bootneck cartoons who are floating around now that are mine, and that's quite satisfying as a amateur artist to see them floating around.
Well, we've got our copies as well now that finally came through.
Finally, they took the time, didn't they?
Yeah,
and that was good to do because I'm a bit lazy with doing it because I've obviously got work and I've got other things on. And when people ask me to do them, like you did there, like, it actually made me sit down for 3 or 4 hours and actually make it. So that's good. So now I use it on me channel intro. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I did like your little post-it notes.
I don't even remember what I wrote on that.
It's Ragz has got jealous.
Oh yeah, Ragz threw a hissy fit because he didn't get one. So I put one in for him. Yeah.
Excuse me, I didn't. I threw the toys out the fucking pram.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But it's all good.
No screaming.
Yeah. Like I said, we just have to carry on. You got to keep on doing what we're doing and stubbornly stick at it, no matter how many people are watching it or seeing it. Because
stoicism, Matt. A bit of stoicism.
Yeah, and the truth's important, isn't it? For the truth's sake, you just have to carry on telling it, no matter what they do.
Yeah. That's for damn certain.
Anyway, right, I've been here an hour. I think I'm going to bugger off because I'm starving. I went to the gym and I haven't eaten anything.
You get going. Listen, you're back on. You'll be end of May now, yeah?
Yeah, and I'll be. No, it's. Are you on about my strikes running out or back?
No. You're the contract that you signed with us, the Stephen Crowder strike contract to appear for the last Sunday of every month.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
And if you're 5 minutes late, you owe us all the money you've earned that week.
Oh, fuck. I'll owe you $8. Yeah, all right then. Well, yeah, give me a shout in 3 weeks or whatever, and rhyme on. And
No worries, mate.
No worries.
Thank you for coming on, Matthew. We're always appreciated.
Toodles, I'll see you in a month.
See you, buddy.
See you, lads. Cheers.
Right, Ragz, we're going to call it a short one tonight because you need to go and get your sugar sorted, don't you?
No, they're fine now. That's what
okay. Well, I need to go and get some food.
So, we'll wrap this up then for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Matt for coming, and I'd like to thank Wendy for co-hosting.
Wendy. Fucking Wendy London. Wendy.
Here, there's nothing wrong with it. I like nothing I would like more on a Saturday night is to lie in a big bubble bath, right? Get the nails and all done. painted, shave the haven, you know, a few candles around the bath and all, Prosecco, you know, and my fluffy slippers, and I call myself Wendy for the evening. It's great.
Yeah, and lay down in the bath and think about your feelings.
And the feelings.
Listen, Ragz, I will be in touch tomorrow. Bank Holiday Monday. I'm off. It'd be nice to get a 2-day break, 2 days in a row. But yeah, we'll be back next Sunday with a friend of Matt's, actually, a guy who does whiskey reviews, YouTuber, whiskey reviewer, political commentator to a degree, and a new guest for our channel. So please come back if you're around. Come and say hello to Whiskey Straight, and yeah, we'll see you in a week's time. Thank you, Ragz.
Yep. And I will set up our playing out. So all I have left to say, folks, is thank you for coming. Thank you for the support. Everybody in the chat that chatted away and was conversation. So good night, or in my case, God bless. God bless, or in my case, Odin bless.